Okay, we are live.
Hey,
And welcome back, everyone. You're listening to AI for Lifelong Learners. And today, I'm joined by my friend and mentor, Larry Seyer. Now, Larry is a Grammy winning engineer, a producer, a musician, as well as a creator and host of The Larry Seyer Show. And we're going to talk about where performance meets engineering and audience interaction. And the cool thing is, we're going to map how Larry's creative instincts, his live format, and home built tools come together and what AI actually does in his pipeline. Larry brings a reality to building your own tools with your own creative flow. Now, that last sentence to me means a lot because if you're following AI and you're using it, one of the common complaints a lot of people are hearing is, yeah, certain things are all sounding the same. That's not how Larry does things at all. He's used the tools in a very creative way for his own purposes. Larry, welcome to the show.
thank you, Tom, and I appreciate you asking me to be on. And what a nice introduction. Thank you. You want to be
Well,
my publicist?
but
The slot's open.
yeah, it wouldn't be hard to book, that's for sure. And you're most welcome. And you very much have been a mentor for me over these years. You've helped me endless number of times in the early days of audio interviews before there were podcasts, actually, and then podcasts. And you helped me move to Reaper, which is absolutely an amazing audio editor. So thank you very much for all of that.
You're very welcome. And I love sharing my knowledge and the things I learn. It's kind of fun for me. If you can't share it, why even do it?
I know, and that's a philosophy I've taken on myself. Well, so
Mhm.
let's dig in and tell us about the show. Let me just start out with the fact that it's live and it's interactive every week. And I'm curious, what can you do in a real-time audience that you cannot do in the studio? And how does live change your performance style?
Okay. Well, every musician likes to perform, and they get their energy from the feedback from the audience. In the studio, you can achieve perfection in performance and mix and EQ and all the other stuff that you do to make it sound get the song ends up perfect. It can, but there a lot of times it's sterile,
Yeah.
and so the way you get interactive or energetic music to happen is interacting with an audience where they give you feedback about
Mhm.
what you're doing. If you're playing a solo and you're really getting into it, they see that and they feel it, and they'll type in the chat, hey, they're excited about it, and that's a circular thing that builds up the energy higher than just being in the studio by yourself or with somebody else, just one person. So a group of people is always good for the creative flow. It raises the energy level. So that's
So
why I do it.
So that's interesting, and I'm sure we'll get into more of this. But during your shows, part of the live part of it is a live chat, and you have an opportunity to take a look at that as you're playing.
Yes, I have a little window that I use a service called Restream, which I broadcast to multiple different locations simultaneously,
I see.
and so it takes all the chats from the various
Hmm.
um, broadcasts, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Rumble.
X, Rumble, all that stuff, and it puts them all together in one chat.
Hmm.
So I see where it's coming from, but I see everybody's chat. It works very well, except for Facebook doesn't allow other people's chats to appear on Facebook. So I can see everything from Facebook, but Facebook people can't see anything from YouTube or LinkedIn. Now YouTube and Rumble and the other sites, they can see everything from Facebook, but Facebook is really restrictive about that on their chat. So
Yeah, Facebook. Well,
yeah, I
we'll
know.
spare the conversation on that. Uh,
Well, I tried to give it up. I really
really?
did. Last year, I stopped broadcasting on Facebook for about a year, and the only thing it did for me is it lost half my audience. That's true. I
I-
mean, I really don't want to use it, but I have so many people that watch the show that don't know how to use YouTube. They don't even know what Rumble is. They have never heard of LinkedIn,
right.
and Twitch. Forget about Twitch. They
Oh
don't have a
yeah, that's
clue. That's way above. They know how to go to Facebook and they click on my name. Okay, we're going to watch Larry. You know, so I ended up going back to Facebook a few months ago, and the viewership's gone back up, almost double.
Well, thanks for sharing that knowledge with us. I was always curious about that, and I had similar sentiments about Facebook. Well, be that as it may. All right. So one of I don't know if you consider it the heartbeat, but one of the key things that you've built is something called Show Switcher,
Uh-huh.
um, that has as a solo performer, you can focus on playing without juggling production.
Right.
And, I can only imagine what a pain it was to solve and the various trade-offs you had to make this thing reliable while you were, doing this live. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, first I need to explain why it was important for me to have something like Show Switcher.
Yeah.
I have a co-host. His name is Stan McMahon. And he's sort of like my Ed McMahon from the show that, the Johnny Carson show.
That's
But
great.
yeah, we have a lot of banter back and forth, and he does the show switching for me. So I'll show you over here at well, right there. If you see, there's my studio, and I'll give you a close up of where Stan is. You'll have to look through the create sign, but through that create sign, there's a monitor and a desk over there,
Ah.
and he's got access to all that kind of stuff. Now, I will show you his interface so you see what's going on here. Let's see, what's the best way to show this? I may not be able to show it to you. I can't show you his station because I don't have it online.
Well, I think that
But
what you just did there kind of helped. And why that this wasn't something that you could buy off Amazon.
oh no, everything about this show is custom built, just about everything. But anyway, the reason I wanted Show Switcher was that Stan is a co-host and he's integral to the show in that he does the show switching for me, and in addition to being a banter back and forth. Well, he can't always be here. I mean, the show doesn't pay him. They don't pay me. Nobody gets paid. We do this for fun.
Yeah.
So when he's gone, I either have to choose a solid camera like this one right here, or I might choose, some other camera, or some other a close up of that. But then it's going to stay there for the whole song, and because I'm busy playing and doing other things, so I can't be pushing buttons and playing guitar and operating the looper and all the other stuff and reading the chat and that kind of stuff. So I said, okay, we got this tool called AI. Specifically, I use Claude Code, but I've used Devin, I've used Zencoder, I've used ChatGPT, Grok,
Well,
just
talk
everything.
about Claude. How did you? This is an evolving set of experiences. I think a lot of us are having with the AI tools, and so Claude probably came a little later. Did you move to it after something you found was better?
I started out with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Then I moved to, I believe it was either Claude or Grok. I don't remember because this was during the early days when they were just starting out.
Right.
And I found out that not most, I'll just say many of the AI will lie. They will make things up. They're just simply not true.
True. That's right.
And there's a prompt limitation. If you're interacting on a browser, like let's just take Grok, for example. I mean, Grok is very fast and it's really, really good for a lot of different things. I'd give it probably a B- for coding right now. And ChatGPT, it depends on what language you're talking about. Most of them are really good with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But if you get into the esoteric codes, like I want to code for the companion switcher, using NPM, they don't have a clue what you're talking about. So, but it's an interesting. Claude Code knows Claude, and I'm not talking about Claude, the web browser interface. Claude Code is
the CLI.
It's a command line interface.
I know.
Is what it is.
It's just beautiful.
It is my go-to number one. I love it. I do the top tier, and I'm there.
You do?
It is great. I do.
Wow.
Because I use that much of it.
Wow.
So getting back to Show Switcher,
yes, right.
I went to Claude Code, and I described the software I was using, which was BitFocus Companion, and I wanted to write a module for it so that it would essentially do automatic show switching for me. So I could hit a button at the start of a song, and then it would automatically choose random cameras at random times for random lengths, and also do my triggers for my overlays. And I got special graphics, like, if I do, let's just push a couple of them here. If I do
Nice.
those kind of things, it's a different thing, like show title.
Sure.
All right. So show title comes up, and normally instead of pre-show, it would be the name of the song that I'm playing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it pushes those buttons for me at random times. I get to choose when it happens and that kind of stuff. So that's what Show Switcher does. It's free. It's on GitHub. You can go to my profile on GitHub and download it. I've got several programs I've written with the help of AI that actually help in live broadcasts like what I do.
So the switcher box is you built the box, a little custom box yourself?
No. I use a Stream Deck that controls. Yeah, control. Let's see if you can see it over here. Over here, there's 4 ATEM Mini switchers, video switchers.
Okay.
I have an ATEM Mini Pro Extreme. You can't see it because this monitor is in front of it, but this table is all video switchers, and they all connect to this thing called BitFocus Companion through a Stream Deck, and a Stream Deck sends commands to BitFocus Companion, and it tells which camera, which video switcher to use, what overlay to use, and that kind of stuff. So that's all part of BitFocus Companion. But that's something that's static. You can say, I want this button to do this, and then it generally is a particular scene. Okay.
That makes sense.
But Show Switcher goes a further. So you just create a page full of scenes, and then it'll press those buttons for you at random intervals. That's what Show Switcher does.
Okay. Well, then let's back up just a little bit and tell us where AI is used kind of from end to end in the show. From, I don't know, do you use it for pre-production? I mean, I know you use coding, so that's even before the show. Pre-production, in the show, in post. Where are the various steps you've layered it in?
Well, let's see if we can actually see. Like, for instance, we've got this thing called Jukebox Hero, where we throw an image on the screen, and they get to choose what song I want to do next, right? Okay, well that is a HTML code with a static image, and then a text file with 5 songs, which I change each week. And so they say, okay, I want to hear A1, A2, A3, whatever. And whoever gets the highest number of votes, then that's the song that I do.
That's cool.
So, and it's got an intro and all that good stuff. So that's one thing that I use AI programming for. The other thing is, you see that scrolling text on the very bottom? Let's see if I can see this thing right here.
I see it. Yes.
Okay. That changes every week. It's random, and it's a quote relating to the theme of the show.
Okay.
So every show has got a theme. Like last week, it was Harvest Moon Melodies. So it was all about Harvest Moon songs and that kind of stuff. So that quote will relate to the theme of the show. And if you'll see where it says "in the studio with Larry Seyer," normally that would say the actual, let me pull it up here. I'll change it to be this. And in just a minute, it'll show up correct. I got to change it, change the camera. Oh, we do something called movie trivia too. So movie trivia, this is AI. It gives me a quote from a movie, or it describes something about the movie, and then people get a chance to write in the chat what that movie is, and then eventually I tell them what it is. It's Field of Dreams, of course. So
Very
that,
engaging.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun stuff. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can refresh the title.
You are just a fountain of inspiration.
Well, thank you. Well, I got to keep myself from being bored. I'm retired.
True that. I
Yeah,
kind of look.
I was 60 years as an engineer, musician, and producer. It's like, okay, now that I'm retired, what am I going to do for fun? And this is what I do for fun.
Pour it all into yourself. Well, so all right, so we did that's the pre-production, and you didn't really talk about pre-production, I suppose. Maybe it just sort of
No, we didn't,
decides.
but I use AI for that too. I actually ask. I usually use Grok for this because it tends to be better. Um,
Hmm.
I'll say, okay, today is whatever date it is. Is there any special event that happens during this day? Yes, no. If there is, I'll find a theme related to that day. Or if it's a season, we'll do a particular season like harvest season. Or if it's one of my friend's birthdays or something, we'll do a birthday show or we'll do whatever. So every show has got things that relate to the show and it picks my songs for me too. So
Great.
I'll go through and like for instance, last week, Harvest Moon, I went through and I found every song that mentioned harvest, either in the lyrics or was in the title. And
Yeah.
then Moon, same thing with that,
Blue Moon.
Harvest Moon, and anything relating to that. So I'd pick all those songs and I usually end up with 15, 20 songs. And of those, they become my playlist.
And in
So
once you've done the show, then in post, you use it for anything?
um,
Probably not, really, I
I
guess.
don't really use AI for post because there's not much post to do. Once
Yeah.
I do the show, it's it. I
Yeah.
might do a little mastering to clean up the audio, but
Yeah,
that's
that
just
doesn't count.
yeah.
Well, wow. Okay. So moving on. This is so
Okay.
exciting. Um, this is one I don't know much about. So, help me through it. But you have this project with Auto Magic Art.
Yes. That's
And
that's a that's my company. I'm working on a new piece of software for solo performers to help them create music automatically.
Auto Magic. Okay, Auto Magic. And such as Oto, O-T-T-O, which
Yeah.
mimics a drummer's feel. And you said that's not quite ready yet, but
I'm working on that correct right now. Uh-huh.
oh yeah. Well, I'm very curious to hear that because having played the drums all my life, you know, I
Yeah.
get it. It's not easy.
It's organic trigger timing orchestrator. So if you could
Oh.
imagine that, and it's part of a program called Grim for Reaper. So,
Of course.
of course,
Of course. It's an inside joke. We're talking about Reaper here, the software. But
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
Reaper. Yeah, but I like inside jokes. I like playing with words. I like doing that kind of stuff. So um, it's not going to let me get in just a minute. I was trying to share some things about it, but it's going to make me do all this stuff to
Okay.
sign in. Isn't this two-factor thing just gotten out of hand? I
Yes,
think
it
it's
has, because it's not just one way to do two-factor. There's this, and then there's that, and if you hadn't updated, and then like the other day, I finally updated my iPhone. Oh, we're getting off on a tangent. I'd had it for 4 or 5 years. I went, it's just time. And I get this new phone. Well, sorry, your two-factor doesn't work now, and your phone, we don't know what your phone is, and so like, well, how do I get in then? This is
it's ridiculous. And then they sign you out every 30 days. That's really frustrating. Come
um,
on.
that's
I mean, Twitch makes you sign up every 30 days. It just logs you out. And you got to
yeah.
go through all that stuff. Anyway,
Well,
that's just my pet peeve. We've got to fix that. But anyway, so Grim and Reaper. Grim is an interface for Reaper, the DAW, that mimics Ableton Live. Okay, so it's a looper based
Ableton. Okay.
situation. And then that's tied to this automatic drummer called Auto, which creates drum patterns according to the parts of the song. Like you'll have a part for a verse, you'll have a part for a chorus, you'll have a part for a bridge, whatever. So as you pick the different scenes, they're called scenes of a song, you can play them in any order you want.
Mhm.
The drummer will follow along. And the energy level will go up and down according to the requirements of the song.
That's nice.
That's also on GitHub. I'm still working on it, so it's not done yet.
Yeah. Well, nevertheless, sounds fascinating and really needed, you know.
Thank you. I think it'd
Um,
be fun.
this next is a question, but it might be more of a statement, I think, what I think just comes out of what you've been talking about. And, you know, your hallmark is you've got a very natural sound, it's organic, and you place a lot of emphasis on your performance energy. How do you
Mhm.
maintain that aesthetic when AI and automation are involved? Sort of like, do you have some guardrail or sort of mental thought about the process, about, where authentication or not authentication, but authenticity is first, tech tech sound is second, or well, you have a comment on that?
Feel is always number one.
Feel. Okay.
Feel, if a machine feels better than a human, go with the machine. If a human feels better, go with the machine. It's all about feelings because an artist, musician, painter, whatever,
Yeah, okay.
they're conveying feelings. They're trying to evoke an emotion from the listener or the viewer. So it's all about whatever works.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That really does. Okay, so let's see. Um, I guess the other question I had was how do you sort of maintaining spontaneity with all the automation in your is that an issue that comes up for you? Is it just you're just familiar enough with your own tools that your own spontaneity just kind of comes out of the process now?
Well, honestly, I'm so busy during the show, I don't have time to do anything except what's on the list
Yeah.
because I have a playlist,
Yeah.
so everything is in order. And I have done it to where I have done a show or several shows where I didn't have an order or a list and I just, whatever I felt like playing, I
Yeah.
played. And it ends up being kind of boring. It's too
Yeah.
slow because it takes too long to pull something up.
Yeah.
You want to hear XYZ song. Well, let me find it. Let me get it over here. Oh, this is not set. Let me set this over here. There's 10 different things that has to happen for every song. So I find that a playlist works best. But what I do, and this is where a looper is really great. A looper, the way I use a looper is it's sectioned into songs. I'll usually set the intro as loop 1, verse as loop 2, chorus as loop 3, and in either bridge or outro on loop 4. So that gives me the ability to do the song in any order or any arrangement I want. That gives me the spontaneity. So if I want to start with the bridge, I can start with the bridge. Yeah, I can do the song like it normally is, but I might play a solo for 10 minutes. That allows me to do it. I'm not limited to the arrangement of the song. That's what a looper is wonderful about. And I use Quantiloop Pro for that, which is an iPad app. Fabulous piece of software. Quantiloop Pro.
Well, that's what I was asking, really. I mean, that there is your spontaneity in the way that you've put it together, and that rolls in really well into our next set of questions that which is, what sort of reusable ideas do you have for other musicians? So if a working musician adds one AI assisted or automated step into their show this week, what would be a good small move for them?
Well, depends on their level of expertise, I guess. If they're
Yeah.
more songwriting focused, I have no problems with using AI to help me tweak my lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever, well, one time I had AI help me with the actual music. And I did it as an experiment just to see, uh, what's it going to sound like? And it did
Yeah.
an okay job. It was
Yeah.
nothing I would ever choose to create,
Yeah.
but it wasn't me at all. But the tool is there. But for lyrics, absolutely. I help. It'll come up with ideas. And this is where Chat GPT is really stellar. It really is great at that. I think it's better than anything else for lyrics. But for whatever reason, I don't know. Of course, you can tell I use about all of them. But
Well,
um,
it'd be a fair question here to ask then at this point. I meant to do it earlier. How would you categorize, generally speaking, at this point in time with LLMs, which one is best for what purpose? Coding for Claude.
Claude Code, and I don't mean Claude the web interface.
Yeah,
I mean
Claude
Claude
Code.
Code.
That's what
Yeah,
I meant. Yes.
yeah.
And then Grok. Well, how do you see it fitting in the matrix?
Current events, news, and everything is biased to a certain extent, but it seems to be the least biased on news items. You want to know some things that are relatively new. Grok seems to be it. It's not as heavily censored as like Chat GPT or Gemini. We didn't even talking about Gemini AI.
I meant to talk to you. So where do you see Gemini fitting in?
How can I say this without being derogatory?
Not a win for you. Well, you didn't
I
mention
haven't
it, so I suppose
I haven't found Gemini to do anything except be fast at being wrong and be
Yeah.
fast at lying.
Yeah.
And that's for me personally. I have not seen anything come out of Gemini that I would want to. That's just me, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
your experience may differ.
Yeah.
Chat GPT, excellent with text-based stuff. I mean, with lyrics and documents and content, excellent. Horrible at news, horrible at facts. I mean, they're really biased over there.
And
Grok, great for that. Like I said, they're all biased. It just don't. How much are they biased? Grok seems to be better, less biased. Claude Code, hands down. Well, that's not true. Claude Code is excellent. Devon is probably the best, but I can't afford Devon. You think Claude Code is expensive?
Wow.
Man, Devon is a per token thing, and it gets expensive really quickly. But
What
it's very smart and very fast.
Perplexity, use it at all? Probably don't have much of a need for that. Then I guess if you have the other tools.
Did I try? I think I tried it in I don't remember. I can't really speak.
It doesn't really fit in the genre of things that you're doing with your tools right now, so wouldn't really make sense. All right, well, let's talk
Zencoder. I didn't talk about Zencoder. Zencoder is actually very good. It goes inside of C Lion, the programmer interface. I don't know if you know what C Lion is. If you're developing C code or just about any code, they make some kind of interface for it. Zencoder is a plugin, AI plugin for C Lion, and it's very good. Except when I tried it, which just happened to be a couple months ago, they had a serious bug in it, and it was. Well, here's what they did, Tom. If the file was over X number of lines, it would truncate the whole file. And then it would go and try to find out, well, I'm missing this function. Let me just create it out of thin air.
No, that's not
Not knowing that it had truncated the original function.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I wrote them about it. They didn't know it. So they have probably fixed it since then, but that left a bad taste in my mouth. I said, okay, no, I don't even want to deal with that.
Yeah, I've had experiences with code like that. Even I remember the old days, I had an address app or something that I was going to do to add on to my Mac, and it doubled all of them, and then it transmitted them all somewhere else. And
my goodness!
I wrote the guy about that, and he was like, "I am so sorry," and I'm like, "Dude, you know that's just a real no-no." I mean, the double,
yes, absolutely.
I was just like, okay. So back to you though.
Okay.
I'm curious about, where in your tool set you have sort of magically and unexpectedly unlocked a creative move, on the air. I mean, I know iCandy as an add-on for Reaper that you've spent a huge amount of time looks great. It makes the whole
Thank you.
digital audio workstation like wow. And you have a bunch of sample libraries and things like that. But, in customizing your tools over the years, have there been moments in time when there's been like, wow, I was able to do this creatively live that I've never been able to do before?
Yeah.
Probably so.
But the experience is not really related to recently or AI. I would have to say the first time I had that eureka moment, like I thought, oh my God, the world is mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
Was the very first time I used a MIDI sequencer, which would have been mid to late 80s.
Sure.
I used it on PC as a sequencer called Texture, which was Texture. It was by Roger Powell and Slim Helper, and excellent. Oh my! It was the best MIDI sequencer. Whenever I could write a whole song using MIDI and external, it was hardware synthesizers back then.
Yeah.
I literally jumped up and down and ran around the room like a crazed maniac. It's like, oh my goodness, it's incredible. Of course, now every doll can do that, so.
Well, I mean, I recognize that's not AI, but it's the spirit of focusing on you being unique in this mix of all these tools. And, I think that's just a hallmark of what you've created here for yourself. And it's a good example for others to kind of recognize that, yeah, you can go pull this out of Grok or Claude and it'll do this. And you can, of course, the MIDI, not so new anymore, right? And you can download MIDI patterns for anything that you want. But that's not going to give you something unique and creative and whatnot. And so focus on find ways to sort of put it all together like you've been doing, little bit by little bit.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And that's where I don't think we've reached the end of MIDI's usefulness. There's, like, for instance, auto is MIDI based. People just haven't taken to the nth degree. They think that, okay, we're going to play the kick and snare. Kick's going to be 1 and 2, 1 and 3, and then snare's going to be 2 and 4, and we're going to add all these beats. There's so much more you can do with that. Like, okay, of course, there's dynamics, there's timing shifts, microsecond timing shifts forward and back, like a real drummer does. Real drummer will be a little bit ahead of the beat on the chorus and a little bit behind the beat on the verse.
Right.
Okay, nobody thinks about that stuff. Okay, that is what auto's supposed to be, or it will be. It's going to put the humanness back into the machine.
Ah, that's great. That's great. That's great. Well, for people who want to catch your show, what's the best way to find you?
Easiest way is either YouTube or Facebook. That's the easiest way. But I'm also on Rumble. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on X. If you do a search for The Larry Seyer Show, Seyer, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock live. We're Thursday. But you can watch the shows on replay on YouTube. They go back 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I've done that. So would you also say that a home base for it, if you can't remember that, is just LarrySeyer.com?
LarrySeyer.com will get you there, because I'm all over the internet.
Yeah. Well, I always think of you as, of course, I know Larry Seyer, that's his name, but you've done I'm going to put a picture of your website on the show notes themselves, because basically it has the newsletter, the calendar, the online store, contact information, how you get some of these cool tools that you have.
GitHub. And if you want my sample libraries, they're free on Piano Book.
Far out. Okay. Well, that's really good. Wow. Well, Larry, thank you so much for being on the show today and giving us some of your time. And I know the weekend's probably your recovery time from you do your shows on Thursday night. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, have you thought about what your next show is going to be coming up?
I don't have a clue. I got to check with my AI. What would be cool?
All right. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure. All the best to you.